Hi guys, welcome to the final video on assessing the efficacy of elimination techniques in UPSC CSE prelims. In the first video, we discussed the first question of series A 2023 paper, and we concluded the video by saying that the techniques which are rooted in the basics, your knowledge of what is given in the NCRTs, your knowledge of previous year questions, your practice of questions at least from 2011 onwards via the elimination route, via the techniques which I'm sharing, all that experience is going to help you in the non-standard questions in exam. There are two kinds of questions, standard and non-standard. The standard questions mean those which can be fully solved via just knowledge, via 100% confident knowledge, and the remaining questions are non-standard. These are the questions which will give you some form of anxiety, some form of stress. You will not know everything in the question. Sometimes the entire question will be completely random and unknown, right? So around 60 to 70 questions, 60 to 70% of the paper comprises these non-standard questions, and how to approach these questions is the objective of my elimination techniques, my approach to elimination. So by the end of today's video, I'm hoping to give you enough idea so that you can make an informed decision yourself about the efficacy of elimination techniques in your preparation. And if you feel that my way of thinking works for you, my way of thinking attracts you, you want to learn it more, at the end of this video I'll tell you the next step, and you can learn my techniques absolutely free of cost. So moving to the next question, the first one we did last time. So the second question is actually a very important, like this is a standard fact question. I told you standard and non-standard questions, right? Standard questions should be done via knowledge, because the objective of those questions is to test your knowledge. And how do you judge whether a question is standard question or not? If you see the nature of the information given in the question, we have ports given, and these are actually all very famous important major ports, right? So ports given, and what for what they are well known is asked. We have Kamrajar, we have Mundra, and we have Vishakhapatnam. And look at the nature of the description. You know why it is famous. The against Kamrajar, it says first major port to be registered as a company. It's a big thing. It's an important thing, right? These kind of points are given in our current affairs magazines, right? If not in our NCRT books, current affairs magazines certainly cover these things. Then against Mundra, it says it's the largest privately owned port in India. Again, important, largest, it is saying, right? Then Vishakhapatnam, it says largest container port. Again, very important information, right? So everything that is there in this question is preparable, is important. It will pique your interest, curiosity based thing. So this question is a standard fact question. From that angle, it is testing your knowledge. So this question must be done via knowledge. In standard fact questions, you should solve via knowledge. In non-standard questions, you should solve via elimination, because that is the objective of these questions. So this question we should not do. These kind of questions we should not do via elimination. There's a very high chance of going wrong in them, right? There are some commonality, there are some, we may say some hacks in handling these questions, but those hacks are not techniques. They're just, the habit of UPSC in these questions. These habits can change anytime. So it's best to be prepared knowledge wise for standard fact question. For the non-standard questions, our approach to elimination will give you great results, right? So this question don't do via elimination. Next is question number 3 of series A paper. This question is actually a shocking kind of question. It's a difficult, it's a hard question. It can be done via elimination, and these kind of questions have been fairly regular in prelims. We have had a very similar question in the 2023 paper itself, the Malabar civet question, right? So three animals were given, and it was asked which of these are generally nocturnal. This was very similar to this jackfruit question. We have other questions also. Pangolin question was there in 2021, right? Three animals were given. So basically these kind of questions have been asked, but these tend to be a little bit tricky, a little bit difficult, and these are the questions which only a seasoned elimination student, somebody who has practiced well, and by practiced well I mean at least 10 times, you should have done those 1200 1300 questions from 2011 till 2023, now for 2024 prelims, right? So you have to do these questions 10 times, make mistakes, think in different ways, experiment with the questions, right? Ask your doubts. So when you have done that, uh, these kind of questions come in your solvability range, but nevertheless these are difficult questions, and these should not be done in the initial rounds in your exam. In the initial rounds, only the very confident questions, the questions which make you feel good, only those questions you should touch, because you want to first have better confidence in the exam, you want to increase your confidence. So don't do these questions initially. But how can we solve them? Let us just see. So in this question, three tree species were given, and if you note the nature of the species, teak, uh, you will know, right? It's very famous species, teak, sal. These kind of tree species are mentioned even in our NCRTs, and it is asked. You may not know about mahua, although mahua is given in the NCRT. It's a it's not a very technical or difficult name, in the sense that mahua, we have heard mahua is actually a flower, right? Maybe not the tree, maybe you may not even visualize what kind of tree it is, but because of its common known nature, mahua is a flower, like jasmine is a flower, teak, these kind of things, these are known names, right? So these common names are generally in our NCRTs. Mahua also is there in the NCRT, but for this particular question, I'm assuming we don't know about Mahua, and we have not read the NCRTs in such a detailed manner that we will solve it via knowledge, right? So teak, certainly we should actually do it via knowledge, but even if we don't know about teak, whether it is deciduous or not, still we can take a well reasoned call. We'll come to that. And the third species, the third tree that is mentioned here is jackfruit. Jackfruit is the least popular or least known of these three, or the most difficult of these three. This question is asking you how many of these are deciduous tree species. Now, we should always go from easiest to toughest. So out of the three, easiest is teak, right? Teak, sal, these kind of tree species we know are very important for the lumbering industry, right? So lumbering, and then if you recall the nature of forest, lumbering cannot happen in equatorial rainforest because of that undergrowth, and difficult to move the logs and trucks and all of that. This is common knowledge, conceptual knowledge. If you don't know this much also, then it will be difficult, right? It requires at least some knowledge to solve these kind of questions. That's why I told that these are hard questions, right? So equatorial rainforest, this will not be a rainforest tree species, but we have heard of teak as an important uh, tree species for the lumbering industry. So lumbering will happen in deciduous trees, deciduous forest. It can happen in deciduous forest, right? And teak is a very famous tree species. So high chance that teak can be deciduous. Although you should do it via knowledge, it's given very clearly in your NCRTs. But if you don't have knowledge, then this much risk you can take in this, because teak is a very famous uh, lumbering industry species. So deciduous forest support lumbering industry. So teak can be a deciduous tree species. Of course, 100% guarantee can never be there unless you have full knowledge of it. But this is the best that we can have, because this approach is a reasoned one. We have a reason why teak can be deciduous species. So we can say that teak should be correct in this case. Now, if you see the nature of the options, it says only one, only two, all three, or none. Now, this is a difficult question. It's a hard question because of jackfruit and mahua, right? Not because of teak. Teak is a fairly simple option. So, if such a difficult question UPSC has made, what do you think? What are the chances that all will be the answer or none of these will be the answer? The chances of C and D, Charlie and Delta, all and none, are slim in these kind of questions, because if all are the answer, the most unprepared student in these kind of questions is going to mark all of the above because of the YouTube tricks that he has learned, right? Similarly, none is the flip side of all of the above. So in these kind of questions, all and none are the extreme options, which generally will not be correct because they are taking away the effort. They are, compromising the reason why such a difficult question is made. So one generally what happens in these multi-list questions is we will know some things, but some other things we will not know, right? So for example, teak, we can take a confident call that it should be deciduous, but about 1 and 2, all will not be the answer. So both 1 and 2 will not be deciduous, and both 1 and 2, like they will not be deciduous, they will not be non-deciduous also. Like one of these should be deciduous, one of these will not be deciduous. That combination I'm saying, right? So none will not be the answer, all will not be the answer. The midway is, because it's a difficult question, one of these should be deciduous, one of these, the other one will not be deciduous. Which one it is, we don't know that, but we know that at least one should be deciduous. That's a high probability. Elimination is a game of probability. It depends certainly on your risk appetite, and this is a hard question, I'm telling you that since the beginning itself. This question should not be done initially, but if you have the risk appetite, this is one of the best ways in tackling these questions, right? So the best option in this question is only two, right? Teak certainly, and between 1 and 2, one of these will be deciduous, another one will not be deciduous. So bravo is the best option in this question. Similar approach in Malabar civet question. Three species are given. Lion-tailed macaque is the most famous. About the remaining two, we don't have much idea, and similar question is asked. So I don't want to elongate this video by discussing this question in detail. Slight variation is there in this question compared to the teak question, but the broad approach is the same, right? One of these will be correct, one of these will not be correct. And again, in this question, like all of the above and none of the above is generally not the answer. Just one also will generally not be the answer, because just one we will do by knowledge itself. We will have knowledge. After the remaining, we will not have knowledge, right? So what is left is bravo in this question. So the best answer again is bravo, right? So I'm not saying this same approach will work in 2024 also, because we don't know what new combination UPSC may give, but it has worked in similar questions since 2011 till 2023. So the best that we have as of now in dealing with these questions is what I've shared with you, right? Next, you can see the fourth question of series A paper. So this question also is a disputed question. Actually, some people are saying X should be the answer, some are saying Y should be the answer. I'll share my approach with you, and you be the judge what makes sense to you. So this question, the first statement said India has more arable area than China. The second statement said the proportion, the stress is on proportion, the proportion of irrigated area is more in India than in China as compared to China. And the third statement says average productivity per hectare, again a comparative figure, average productivity per hectare in India is higher in than that in China, right? So in these three statements, you have the first statement talking about an absolute figure, absolute number. By absolute, I mean in million square kilometers, for example, right? And the remaining two statements are talking in relative terms, in proportion terms, in percentage terms, right? So we should always start a question with the easiest statement first. So the third statement, for me, the third statement is easiest. You make your call yourself what is easiest for you, right? So how I approached it is the average productivity per hectare in India will be higher than in China. I don't think so, because China is a stronger country in terms of economic heft, right? In fact, in almost all aspects, China is stronger than India. So it will have more resources to invest in agriculture. Extension services will be better, research will be better, fertilizers, etc. All of that. Like it has got a lot of resources which it can invest. So productivity per hectare will be higher, should be higher in a economically stronger country, right? So productivity per hectare in China should be higher. not in India. So this statement should be incorrect, right? I think this statement is incorrect. The second statement, similarly, it says the proportion of irrigated area in India is more than that in China. Now, proportion of irrigated area as a proportion of what? As a proportion of total cultivated area, right? So again, greater economic heft. China has got, stronger resources, so it can construct irrigation facilities, and higher population also, so it has a necessity also to construct. So I feel as a proportion, because it is not talking in absolute number. Had the statement said in terms of million square kilometers, India has got more area under agriculture, under irrigation than China, then yes, correct, right? Because the stress in that case is on the absolute number, not on the proportion. Here it is on percentage, here it is on proportion, and whoever is stronger economically has got better ability to have these kind of infrastructure. So this is the reason why I feel the second statement again is incorrect. It is China that should have a higher proportion of irrigated area as a part of its cultivated area than India, right? Uh, it's a disputed question, and we don't know what the official answer key will say, but this is the best which what makes sense to me I've shared with you. Like, it should be logical to you, right? It should, whatever you do, it should be reasoned, right? You should not be having any formula in mind, or you should not have any kind of template in mind. Whatever reasoning you have, if it is sound, if it is fact based, that you should do. In terms of like proportion, we also hear that about 60% of, or 65% of India's agriculture area is rain fed, right? So that means only about 30-35 odd percent is irrigated. So all of these combined, I think the second statement is incorrect. बाकी देखते हैं official answer की क्या बोलती है. Second is incorrect, third is incorrect, right? It should be more in China, both are saying that. The first one says India has more arable area than China. Now this will be correct. This will be correct because the first statement is a very unpreparable statement, because it is talking about absolute area in million square kilometers. Who studies these kind of things? We don't study these kind of things, right? So because it is talking about an absolute figure, an absolute number, this is a has to be correct kind of statement. Has to be correct are those statements which are very formal, which are talking about like one fact in one sentence, and very official concrete kind of facts. The statement doesn't have any loose end, the tone is formal, right? Official kind of statements. So those statements are generally correct. On the other hand, if it is a deep fact will mean something which requires expert knowledge. Because it's a generalist exam, civil services is a generalist exam, deep facts or expert knowledge facts are mostly incorrect. So I'm saying this is a has to be correct fact. The first statement is a has to be correct statement. HTBC is the technique name which I use. So it's a HTBC statement rather than deep fact. If we want to make it deep fact, it could be something like India has more arable area in the hills. Like, we can go to terrain level. Here it is at national level, talking about the total scale, all kinds of arable area. But if we say in hilly areas, India has more arable area than China. Now this only some specialist will know, right? Some economist or some person from agriculture ministry would know these kind of facts. So these facts are generally incorrect because these are deep, these are specialist facts. But when we have very plain, very official kind of standard fact level kind of facts, those are generally correct. And this first statement is of that level. So HTBC technique we use in the first statement, and the second and the third statements we are doing via plain common sense. And that's why I feel the best answer in this question should be alpha. Again, I'm telling this is a disputed question. UPSC has actually shifted its gears a lot in this particular exam in 2023. So we can't really be 100% sure about what UPSC is trying to communicate via these words. So we only have our experience of PYQs to guide us in these kind of questions. So from that angle, I feel the answer should be alpha, but officially what UPSC says, the official answer key, that we'll have to see. If the answer is not alpha, then again I'll research. I'll see why, what is the answer, and why it could be the answer, what UPSC intended by this question. As of now, alpha should be the answer in this question. Then you have another question like series A, question number 5. So let's just wind up this video after this question, and I'll tell you after that, if it makes sense, if my approaches make sense, what you should do. So the fifth question is a one statement question from environment section, and it read, which one of the following is the best example of repeated falls in sea level giving rise to present day extensive marshland, right? So best example of extensive marshland is asked. Naturally, what is the vibe? The answer in this question should be something that is famous. If you have prepared sincerely, your NCRTs, your PYQs, and current affairs awareness, basic general is there. These kind of questions, the answer should be from your known range. Random things, unknown things will not be best example of extensive marshlands, right? Naturally, the best examples of extensive things will be those which are commonly known. These kind of things generally are there in our NCRTs also, or they'll be in the newspapers. Will talk about them. The magazines will talk about them, right? So it's a conceptual kind of statement. Rise in sea level, fall in sea level, right? These kind of things are mentioned in our class 11th physical geography books, right? This thing is like a combination of uh, a conceptual vibe, conceptual thing, and your current affairs also. So out of the four options, the answer has to be something famous. The answer will not be something random or unheard. So Bravo and Charlie are random and unheard compared to Alpha and Delta, right? So the answer has to be between Alpha and Delta. Bravo and Charlie will not be the answer in this question because of the vibe, because of the stress that the words are putting in the question. So we remove Bravo and Charlie. Two options are removed, two are left. Bhitarkanika mangroves, run of Kutch. Now read the question again. It says extensive marshland, very huge, like extensive marshland is there, right? If you recall the word mangrove, what is there in your NCRTs around the word mangroves, and what is there in your NCRT around the word marshes or marshland? Around mangroves, you will notice the word swamps, right? Mangrove swamps. It generally doesn't say mangroves marshlands. You'll not recall that, right? Mangrove swamps. And when you have marshland or marshes, salt marshland, like salt marshes is the common word, right? So if it is salt, and a little bit of knowledge, if you have that run of Kutch, the northern part of Gujarat, is like that salt marsh, right? So you can arrive at the answer that run of Kutch is more famous in the context of marshes in this particular question compared to Bhitarkanika. Bhitarkanika has mangroves, mangroves will have swamps, but like if it had said swamps, then probably mangroves would be the answer. But now it says marshes. In the context of marshes, salt marshes will come to your mind, and salt you will connect with run of Kutch. So run of Kutch is the best choice in this question between alpha and delta. If you don't have knowledge, if you have knowledge, great. But if you don't have knowledge, the most important or the most popular thing has to be the answer in this question. So in the context of the question, the most important or the most popular is of course run of Kutch, and that is the best option in this question. Now, this was without any reference to PYQs, without just reference to what is given in the NCRTs. But if you have gone through PYQs, just see how it helps, right? So this first PYQ we have here is from 2012. This is Series A, question number 46. It talks about wetlands of India. It's not saying marshes, it's not saying swamps, wetlands, right? So both marshes and swamps can be categorized as wetlands. And just see the first statement, which says the country's total geographical area under the category of wetlands is recorded more in Gujarat as compared to other states. So compared to any other state, wetlands are more in Gujarat, and the answer to this question is alpha. Alpha means first statement is correct. So Gujarat has got the highest amount of wetlands in India compared to all other states, right? So extensive marshland, marshlands are wetlands. So one hint we have here, it could be Run of Kutch. Another hint is if you see the other PYQ, this is from the year 2010, and this excuse me. This question read, with reference to river Luni, which one of the following statements is correct? And the answer in this question is Delta. Delta says it is lost in the marshy land of Run of Kutch. So here is a direct reference, the word marsh with Run of Kutch, right? So PYQs help you in this manner. They don't always directly help, but they help you in connecting the dots. This is why from 1979, all the relevant PYQs you must do multiple times. From knowledge angle, do from 1979 till 2010, and from knowledge plus elimination angle, do from 2011 till 2023. Do 10 times, right? From 2011 till 2023, from elimination angle, to get that confidence, to develop that eye of looking at the questions, right? So guys, I think we'll stop here. A lot of questions. See, these 5 questions, almost except for the, I think just one question, the sport question, we use some form of reasoning, some form of elimination in the remaining 4 questions, right? So similar is the case in all the other questions. That is why I said elimination, in which, our approach of elimination, what I have shared using, NCRT knowledge, PYQs knowledge, and our practice making mistakes, etc., in the practice time and learning from those mistakes, help us in dealing with the 70% questions which are non-standard in exam. So that will be all from my side in the explanation part of the techniques. I hope you now have enough clarity to make a informed decision about whether our style of elimination, what I shared in these videos, make any sense to you. If they don't make any sense, I thank you for your time, your patience. You went through these videos, and I really wish you all the luck for your exam. Uh, but if they do make sense to you, and if you want to learn more about these techniques, I conduct a free workshop for the techniques, how to look at these questions, how to practice these questions. You'll have to join my free Telegram channel. The link of the channel I'll give in the description of this video, and the details of the next workshop I'll give in that channel. So you can attend that free workshop. I'll discuss these techniques in more detail, and you will have the tools. You'll have, it'll be an eye opener session. Certainly, a lot of practice. If you do, the stress of, the randomness of the question, you always have this sinking feeling that you are not enough. What may be asked, you will not know. If you have this knowledge heavy approach, these kind of thoughts are generally prevalent. But if you are able to change your outlook towards the question from, what is preparable, what is practical, we will do, but the other things, whatever is not preparable, not practical, or too random, we will be able to do something in those questions via our practice. So that relieves that, the confidence that you will get when you make mistakes, when you learn from your mistakes, is going to help you perform at your best in prelims 2024. So all the links are there in the description of this video. I thank you for watching these videos, for your time, and stick around. Like this video, share with your friends. On this channel, it's a specialized channel for elimination techniques. I do a lot of research around PYQs, not just from knowledge angle, not just from elimination angle, but also from knowledge angle, and what way UPSC has been changing trends, NCRT based research I do, right? So for more such content, stick around, subscribe to the channel, and let me know in the comments to this video, whatever video you watch, let me know on what topic do you want me to make the next video. I'll try my best to deliver it as soon as possible. Thank you so much. Good night. Bye bye. Jai Hind.